I think we can no longer see the USA, especially under Trump, as a non-conditional ally. We can see them as an economic partner, but also this is questionable when we look at Trump's tariff policies. But especially when it comes to defense, we now have to see that we only can rely on ourselves. We have to strengthen the EU's defense possibilities, and we have to cut some of the ties that have developed with the USA in the last 80 years.
Parties within the EU, including countries, have some differences in how to deal with the United States. How do you think Europe's interest should be maintained?
I think our interest always needs to be that we don't give our core values. We just saw it yesterday that Trump now tries to force European companies to comply with his anti-diversity standards, and that's something what we can never do. This whole European Union was founded on the base of enlightenment, of democratic ideals and values, and that always must be our red line. In the same way that we are negotiating with Putin or Xi Jinping in the past, now we need to negotiate with Trump, unfortunately.
Many people have suggested that it's time for Europe to face it alone as a rearming Europe. From your point of view, should Europe be more independent?
I think Europe should be able to fully defend itself without any ally. We are a strong continent. We have some of the most strongest militaries in the whole world. And if we look at our past, we never needed anyone else to defend ourselves. We were lucky with the peace dividend in the last decades, but now it's time for Europe to, in fact, rearm and be able to defend on its own.
What is your response to Trump's series of economic sanctions against Europe?
We have to show Trump, that spineless schoolyard bully, that we will not back down and that we will fight back, and that the tariffs are in no one's interest. No one is positive about tariffs. The companies are not positive, the population is not positive, and that's why we cannot get ourselves into a situation where he now squeezes us like a mafia boss. We have to stand fast and fight back.
Is the United States an enemy of Europe? Should the United States assume greater international responsibilities?
The core idea of Europe is not to have enemies, but partners. So, is the USA an enemy? No. Are they an ally? Also no. As said in the beginning, they can be a partner on certain areas, but those are right now very limited. If the US really starts to tackle down its own democracy, then maybe we have to also treat them in some way as an ally, but we should not see any people as enemies.
Many intellectuals have suggested that it's time
Oh, I made a mistake there. I said ally instead of enemy.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, can you do that question again?
That question?
And a bit louder, please. I'm still not fully.
Is the United States an enemy of Europe? Should the United States assume greater international responsibilities?
The core idea of Europe is not to have enemies, but partners and allies. Is the USA still an ally? I don't think so under Trump. We will need to see how it develops in the coming years, but we won't take them as an ally, because if you see people as allies, you don't try to work together with them. You don't try to work over differences. And I think that's also the same answer to the second question. Yes, we need to step up. We need to be the light in the dark and work on the extension of international legal development, a reformation of the United Nations, and to show that the EU, in fact, is now the leader of the free world.
Many intellectuals have suggested that it's time for Europe to wake up. Is this the moment we stop calling the USA an ally?
I think under Trump, definitely yes. This is the moment where we need to stop calling them an ally. We cannot just say, oh, they have been our allies for decades and decades and decades. But as far as I'm concerned, we have already woken up, because in the end, it's not about how we call the US, but how we do our policies in the face of the US. And especially with the new rearmament plan, with the deepening of the internal market that is taking place right now, we show the world that we can stand on our own.
The United States has imposed sanctions on the International Criminal Court and withdrawn from the World Health Organization. Recently, the Mississippi state government of the United States sued the Chinese government in court, saying the COVID virus came from China. What is your point of view?
I think the BNW showed a report where it said that most likely the COVID pandemic came from China. Does this make China liable under international law? As far as I'm concerned, no. So I don't think that this question leads anywhere. We should leave COVID behind. And was war der andere Part? What was the other part?
Sorry, you have a phone in the pocket?
Yes.
Because I saw. Oh, yeah. Just in the last question, I saw.
What was the second part of the question?
So recently, the Mississippi state government of the United States.
No, the other one.
The COVID virus came from China. What is your view?
Ah, okay. So I answered it.
Basically, yes. But should we do that again?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, question.
The United States has imposed sanctions on the International Criminal Court and withdrawn from the World Health Organization. Recently, the Mississippi state government of the United States sued the Chinese government in court, saying the COVID virus came from China. What is your point of view?
If the United States really wants international liability, they maybe should not go away from those international organizations that actually guarantee that. When it comes to COVID, recently there was a report of the BNW which in fact stated that most likely it came from a laboratory in China, but for me that doesn't change so much. I don't know of any clause in international law where that makes them liable, and I also don't think we should open that box. COVID was a trauma for whole society that we need to leave behind.
America First is becoming much more like America Alone. Could you please give us your opinion on this statement?
It's true. As nationalists, politics help no one. We are in a globalized world where politics, trade, travel, everything is interconnected. And this make America great again that Trump and his henchmen talk about, if you look at it, they are talking about 19th century America, where you had a closed-off American market full of robber barons. I think that's the wrong way, and it's going to lead to the downfall of the American economic imperium that they have facilitated the last decades.